Hi, my name is Nathan Boudreau, and I am the Hubbardston Town Administrator. What you'll be seeing today is a series of reels on the town meeting warrant articles. Town meeting is scheduled for June 2nd, and please don't just stop at these reels or at summaries. Dig deep. Go to www.hubbardstonma.gov or budget.hubbardstonma.gov to read the full documents and learn more. But most, enjoy and see you on June 2nd.
Hi, I'm Melody Green, the town clerk. I will also be there at town meeting on June 2nd at 7 p.m. Nate, can you tell us what a consent agenda is?
A consent agenda is town meeting's way of creating efficiencies. It is actually 6 quick items we vote on together. All routine stuff, nothing flashy, just the groundwork that keeps the government running.
Can you hit us with the highlights?
I can. Article 1 confirms who got elected in the June town election. It's a little weird because it is from last year. No surprises, no changes, just making it official.
So basically, paperwork with the vote?
Exactly. Article number 2 is the same vibe. We're accepting the annual town report, the reports of boards and committees, just letting the town know what they've done over the course of the year. Residents who want to see that can see it on the town website, hubbardstonma.gov. It has a raccoon on the cover.
When do we get to the road stuff? I hit a lot of potholes sometimes.
So the road stuff is Article number 3. It keeps Mass DOT allowed to work within the town. It keeps the town eligible for Chapter 90 funding. It is our way of ensuring that the roads get paved. This secures the Chapter 90 money and ensures that we do not need to go back to town meeting every time new Chapter 90 roads money becomes available.
All right, so fixing potholes is a yes vote. What's next?
Up next is Article 5, which allows the school to accept grant money. No taxpayer money, no anything like that, just grants for strictly the school. The Chapter 70 funding, Chapter 71 funding.
Okay, that makes sense.
Article 5 reauthorizes the Holden Hospital Trust Fund. It's a health-related trust fund that supports wellness and public safety initiatives. This keeps it active for another year. Later in the warrant, you're going to see that we request to use some of that money to buy a pickup truck for operational use by the fire department. This is within the scope of the Holden Hospital Fund. It's to help in areas of health and public safety.
So good stuff for the public. What about Article 6?
Article 6 is the annual spending cap for revolving funds, like burn permits, cemetery permits, your dog licenses. These funds use monies that are collected, so again, no taxpayer funds, and sets a limit. The limit does not necessarily indicate how much money is in the account or how much money could be in the account. It is a historical cap on money to make sure that the taxpayers have a say on how much money is going in and out of certain accounts.
All right, so 6 articles all bundled together.
6 articles all bundled together. That is the consent agenda, and it is voted as one.
I was reading the articles and it says that we're voting on past year's bills. Can you explain a little more about that?
Yeah, once in a while a bill will fall through the crack for one reason or another. This one authorizes the town to pay $453.30 in prior year bills. As most people know, the town runs in a fiscal year, so you can't spend money on FY24 in FY25. That keeps the money accountable to the taxpayers to know exactly when. This is for a couple of printer bills, a Verizon bill, and an Amazon bill that just happened to fall through the cracks. We do need 9/10, so a supermajority, to get it passed, but this is just routine maintenance. Article 8 is the town's operating budget.
That's the whole town budget?
The whole town budget, so but just the town. It's the schools are voted on in a later article. The entirety of the budget is $11.6 million separated into all of the different subsections of the budget. General government, public safety, public works, human services, culture and rec, liabilities. It is all there. Everything that keeps the government going over the year is voted on in Article 8. This allows us to operate and sets a parameter for what our anticipated revenue is. As most people know, Hubbardston does have a large percentage of taxpayer funded revenues. The second is local receipts, and the third is state aid. This year we are moving forward with all of our operations. No, everyone is either level funded or higher, including our police, our library, the town clerk, and that is really good to hear. With many communities looking for 2.5 overrides in just different ways to fund their operating budget, the town of Hubbardston is in a decent spot. We are using $66,000 of previously approved project money to supplement some parts of the budget simply because we received grants. We work really hard for those grants, so I'm really happy to see them going to something positive. If anyone wants to read the full budget article down to the penny, you can go and read the budget on the town website or go to our interactive budget website, budget.hubbardstonma.gov. Article 9 is the Monty Tech assessment.
What's the Monty Tech article about? My neighbor's kid just got accepted there, so I keep hearing about their programs.
Article 9 is $396,826 for our children that go to Monty Tech. It is about $90,000 higher than last year's assessment, but that is because we have 3 additional students attending Monty Tech. I know $90,000 sounds like a lot of money, but this is a very variable article because last year dropped by $40,000. This year went up by $90,000. This pays for the services at Monty Tech for our students. Monty Tech, for those of you who don't know, is the vocational technical high school. Article 10 and 11 are articles that have to do with the Quabbin Regional School District assessment.
I have heard a lot about Quabbin, so this is the one that's half our total budget, right?
Half, yep, a little more than half. It's about 60% of the budget. $6.7 million or roundabout is the school assessment this year. This pays for all of the students in Hubbardston to go to school. It runs the operations at Hubbardston Center School. It runs the operations at the entire Quabbin Regional School District. We have a great relationship with the Quabbin Regional School Administration. They've really kept us up to date on what's going on. They even this year did a bit of a deduction in the assessment because we do have 5 less kids. It's still the largest portion of the town's bills at somewhere between 55 and 60% depending on the year, and that does create a little bit of a strain on the other aspects of the budget, but education is very, very important, and we know that. If anyone wants to learn more about this, the Quabbin Regional School District has all of their budget documentation from soup to nuts on their school website, and you can check that out. Thank you. Article 12 is a request from the Board of Health for a sum of money to pay for associated costs with the capped landfill.
So it's $6,130. That's very specific. Can you break it down?
It is $5,865 for the testing of the capped landfill. This capped landfill has been capped for the majority of our life. Almost 40 years, and the Department of Environmental Protection is still making the town pay. It used to be 2 times a year, now it's 1 time a year to get it tested. We are looking into and hoping to not have to do this for much longer, but the lion's share of this $6,130 goes to that. The rest is to get the town capped landfill mowed.
Okay, so $265 to mow.
Yep. Article 12 is a request from the Board of Health for a sum of money to pay for associated costs with the capped landfill.
So it's $6,130. That's very specific. Can you break it down?
It is $5,865 for the testing of the capped landfill. This capped landfill has been capped for the majority of our life. Almost 40 years, and the Department of Environmental Protection is still making the town pay. It used to be 2 times a year, now it's 1 time a year to get it tested. We are looking into and hoping to not have to do this for much longer, but the lion's share of this $6,130 goes to that. The rest is to get the town capped landfill mowed.
Okay, so $265 to mow.
Yep. Article 13 is something called the Prudent Investment Act. This allows the treasurer collector who works with a finance advisor to invest in a wider variety of options with the town's money. It is still a very limited list, but prior to acceptance of this in current, it was only pharmaceuticals and a very small amount of other things. This list is mandated by the state, and this will allow us to do a little bit more in terms of diversifying the fiduciary responsibility of the town in our investments. If anyone would like to understand more, they can check out the town website or call the treasurer collector's office at any time. I'm really sure she would love to explain this to you.
She will also be at town meeting, and we can explain more there.
Absolutely.
Can you explain a little more about Article 14 and securing grant opportunities?
Absolutely. Article 14 is a request from my office for $10,000 from free cash to work with grant writers and grant companies to secure different grants. To do all of the projects that Hubbardston wants to do, the 48 Gardner Road project, different environmental projects, different economic development projects, we're going to need some funding that is outside the taxpayer base. This $10,000 is hoping to utilize a company to enhance our ability to apply for and then receive these grants. This is something we are starting small with. Most communities will start with $50,000 or $60,000, but I'm hoping that if we can prove a return on investment from $10,000, that will allow us to utilize monies like this in the future to create additional opportunities for the town to do different projects. If anyone has any ideas on different grants to go after or different avenues to look into, please reach out to my office at any time. Article 15 is $30,000 from cable bill funding, referred to as PEG access funds, to fund the cable operations of the town over the course of the fiscal year. The town works with a company called Bowling Alley Media. We've worked with them for quite some time, definitely over 10 years, and we work with them to put out a wide variety of civic content. Think our YouTube videos, they record some of the events held at the town common. They record the Hubbardston Fair. They've helped with different promotional videos. Bowling Alley Media is a true partner to the town of Hubbardston, and we look forward to working with them in the future. The $30,000 for salaries, benefits, and committee stipends does not come from taxpayer funds. Again, it is from the back of users' cable bills.
Recently, the town offices moved to 48 Gardner Road, but our conference room and meeting room is still at 7 Main Street. We are looking to get a new conference room here at 48 Gardner Road, and Article 16 tells about that. Can you explain more, Nate?
Yes, Article 16 is $45,000 from PEG access funds, which is a fee on the back of a Spectrum user's invoice that funds cable access. This fund can also be used to create opportunities to enhance our cable access. So what the $45,000 would do is would move the current cable operations setup from the police department, which is quite the inappropriate place for it to be, over to 48 Gardner Road, where we will put it in a ADA accessible meeting room. The rest of the $45,000 will go to outfit that room, create a suitable space for public meetings of all sorts, trainings, and we will be able to use that from here on out. That also opens up the Slade building for use by the senior center, because it's just been really challenging to say, hey, senior center, you can have this space, but we need to use it Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Wednesday afternoon. It really doesn't give them too much of an opportunity to use the space that is now theirs to be used.
Could you tell us a little more about Article 17 Capital Improvement Plan?
Article 17 is the annual capital improvement plan. This year it's spiced up a little bit because we used some prior approved town meeting monies to pay for some of this since that money was covered by grants. And this is $185,000 this year for 3 projects. The annual road improvement, $100,000 investment into the town's roads and bridges to ensure that we can meet the standings of our road maintenance plan, which is available on the town website. An annual technology infrastructure support, $20,000. Think servers, your computer, keyboards, all of that stuff. There is not a hardware line in the operations budget, and instead we fund it with $20,000 annually from the capital improvement plan. Should this money not be invested into the community, we would very quickly lose ground in things like cybersecurity and technology. The third part of this is a operational pickup truck for the fire department to use. They use it for plowing services, they use it to get to different scenes. It is just a part of the arsenal that they use to get to you in the case of an emergency. Overall, the capital plan is a moving target, and it's certainly something we're working on year after year. If you're interested in learning more, please attend a meeting or reach out to me at any time.
I understand that Articles 18, 19, and 20 are all Community Preservation Act articles. Could you touch upon those?
Absolutely. The Community Preservation Act is an act established here in Hubbardston in 2007. It adds an additional percentage of monies to the tax bill to pay for things like historic preservation, recreation, open space, and all those really great things. Article 18 is a $30,630 payment. It's actually the final payment for the Rainbows End Playground remodel that was completed in 2020. So that's great. That playground, I see people there all the time. It's really been utilized. That is taxpayer funds at work. Article 19 is $40,710 for renovation of the library basement. This is to get it to a point where we can utilize it for ADA compliance, for the library director's office. There will still be more to do at a later date, but this is going to get us to a really positive point with being able to utilize the basement of the library for library purposes. Article 20 is a paperwork article that sets the provisions of the CPA funds for the year. CPA funds cannot be used without a town meeting vote, but this authorizes how much the CPA could accept applications to utilize. It's good stuff.
I've been hearing a lot of talk around the town about Article 21 in the first meeting house. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Article 21 is a really good opportunity to preserve a building that is at the heart of the history of Hubbardston. The First Meeting House, or the First Parish Unitarian Church, has been offered to be donated back to the town or sold for $1. This is an opportunity for the town to really keep a piece of its history in check and ensure that it's not going to go and be utilized as something that is outside of the town's best wishes. This is a convoluted, there's some deed ownership rights. The town owns the steeple and the land up to it, but the church owns the church, and the town has made an investment of approximately $110,000 over the last decade into a new roof and different projects within this building. So it really is in the best interest of the town to keep this on the rolls. If the town were to accept this, it does come with approximately $25,000 that it's the hope of the church to get us through the first year while we figure out what to do and how much it's going to cost. It is anticipated that that running the church just as is will cost between $20,000 and $30,000, and fixing it will be a long-term project worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, because it is an old building. Whereas it's in good shape and all of the bones are good, it's still a over 250-year-old building. Some of the things that have been brought up so far are to use it as a community space, use it as a meeting space, use it as a concert and entertainment avenue. There are many opportunities to utilize this very, very historic piece of Hubbardston, and it's going to be great to see how the town does end up utilizing it. This is a prime candidate for use of CPA funds in the future. There are many, many historic grants, especially for something that is on the National Historic Register. Did you know that the bell was forged by an apprentice of Paul Revere? I just found that out. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of history in this building. A feasibility group has been meeting for the last month or so and will be putting out a complete report to partner with this brief video. So make sure you check that out.
We also have an open house coming up on the 27th at 6 p.m. at the First Meeting House, in which we'll answer more questions and you can see the space.
See you there.
What is Article 22?
Article 22 is actually pretty cool. The town received a $5 million grant to get work done on the Williamsville Road Bridge. But to do that work, there are a couple of properties that the town will need easement onto. So we are taking by eminent domain partial pieces of some properties. They are for $500, $700, and $800 respectively for 3 individuals. This authorizes the town to do just that. If we didn't do this, we could not get the grant and the work would not be done. So this is pretty much just formalizes some paperwork.
Can you tell us more about Article 23, 24, and 25?
Yes, Articles 23 through 25 are garnering a little bit of a buzz around town, mostly because of the word debt exclusion. People hear that word and they get really scared. And I would just like the people to know that this is not a Proposition 2.5 override. This is a debt exclusion, which is allowing the town to borrow outside of the parameters of Proposition 2.5 for specific needs. In this case, it is for a very needed fire truck, a very needed plow truck, and a sorely needed brush mower, which is utilized to clear roadways, and it's actually pretty cool to watch. So what would happen here is the town meeting will vote on these 3 articles. They need 2/3 majority to pass. So 2 out of 3 of the room has to vote on it. If it passes at that meeting, it goes to the annual town election. Mel, can you tell us more about that process?
All 3 of these questions will be laid out on the ballot at the town election, which is Tuesday, June 17th, between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Can you tell us more about the zoning articles, which is Articles 26 through 29?
Absolutely. The zoning bylaw articles sure are a mouthful, but they actually are pretty simple when they're boiled down. First and foremost is the grid scale battery energy storage systems. This is the best bylaw. It has been brought up a few times over the last few years and shot down by the Attorney General's office due to some technical errors, and then returned to town meeting, and some voters on the town meeting floor pointed out some things that needed revisions. So now we are back again with that. Long story short, this would set parameters around the areas in which you can put a large-scale battery energy storage system. Not something like a Tesla battery for your wall or something like that. These are big boys that are attached to solar array systems and that type of stuff. The accessory dwelling unit article allows by right to have an accessory dwelling unit on your property, either connected or as a standalone building. This will allow seniors to age in place, multi-generational housing to become much more common, and will create additional housing opportunities for those in need. The next article is the floodplain district bylaw. This sets new parameters under the floodplain district that are slightly more strict, and it is mandated by FEMA. If the town did not accept this, anyone with flood homeowners insurance, their invoice would go up by 25%. Anyone interested in learning more about that can do so on the town website. The last article is site plan approval. This takes the administrative load out of the zoning bylaw and allows the planning board to set up their own processes between a special permit and by right. So certain things that may be of interest but don't need the full load of red tape, but also are not just allowed, will now be able to be reviewed by the planning board in a process called site plan approval. This will allow us to increase our opportunities with economic development, housing opportunities, and many other just generalized opportunities. The planning board will hold public hearings and that type of events ahead of making any sort of administrative rules. Those are the zoning bylaws, and if anyone wants to learn more, they can reach out to the Administrative Services Coordinator or visit our website. Thanks for watching, and remember to attend town meeting on June 2nd at Hubbardston Center School at 7 p.m. Be there, participate, and really remember to do your homework. Don't just stop here with these videos that we intentionally tried to make fun this year. Go to the town website, hubbardsstonma.gov, or our interactive budget portal, budget.hubbardsstonma.gov, to learn more. There's way more than you would ever want to learn, and if you have any questions or need some questions answered, feel free to reach out to me at any time at my email address, admin@hubbardsstonma.gov. I'd like to give a special shout out to Town Clerk Melody Green for participating in this video with us, and Bowling Alley Media for recording today's session. Thank you.